I need you to hear this clearly because your cardiologist has probably never told you this at any of your checkups. A study from the University of Michigan followed over 200 adults aged 60 and above for 12 weeks and discovered something remarkable. People who made one specific change in the way they drink water, not taking medication, not buying expensive supplements, not completely overhauling their diet, just changing how they drink water, recorded up to a 31% improvement in blood circulation in just 8 weeks. Better circulation, warmer hands and feet, daytime energy coming back, morning dizziness when standing up dropped significantly. And yet almost nobody is talking about this. After the age of 60, your body processes water in a completely different way. Blood becomes thicker, blood vessels become stiffer, and there is a molecule called nitric oxide, the one responsible for keeping your blood vessels open, relaxed, and flowing well, that has dropped to just a fraction of what it was when you were in your 40s. And plain water, honestly, is just not enough anymore. Today, I am going to share with you 5 hydration strategies ranked from helpful to absolutely life-changing, built on cardiovascular science and designed specifically for the biology of people over 60. Each strategy builds on the one before it. And strategy number 1 at the end of the list is the kind of thing that once you hear it, you will wonder why no doctor ever mentioned it before. The foundation, why circulation struggles after 60. Before we get into each strategy, let me take about a minute to explain why the body over 60 has such a hard time with blood circulation. Because once you understand this, everything I share after will naturally make a whole lot more sense. Inside the walls of your blood vessels, there is a layer of incredibly tiny cells called endothelial cells. Think of them like the inner lining of a garden hose. When you were young, these cells were extremely responsive. They sensed changes in pressure, movement, and the chemistry of your blood, then released nitric oxide to relax and widen the vessel walls. The result was good blood flow, oxygen reaching every part of the body, and you feeling healthy, alert, and full of energy. But after 60, 3 things happen at the same time that almost nobody warns you about. First, nitric oxide production drops by nearly 50% compared to when you were in your 30s. Second, red blood cells lose some of their flexibility, making it harder for them to squeeze through the smallest capillaries. Third, the volume of plasma in your blood naturally decreases, making blood thicker and forcing the heart to work much harder to pump it throughout the body. This is exactly why so many older adults drink their full 8 glasses of water every day, very consistently, very faithfully, and still deal with cold hands and feet, swollen ankles in the evening, mental fog after lunch, dizziness when standing up, and that heavy, tired feeling in the legs after standing for a while. The water is getting in, but the circulatory response is no longer keeping up. So the goal of everything I am sharing today is not to replace water. The goal is to turn plain hydration into a circulatory event, something your blood vessels can actually respond to. And now we start from number 5 and working our way up to number 1. Before we begin, tell me what city or state you are watching from right now. I read every single comment, and I always want to know who is here in this community with me. Strategy number 5, warm water with magnesium. Strategy number 5, and this one is so simple it almost sounds like it should not work this well, but it is actually the foundation of everything. I want you to think about the temperature of the water you drink every day. Most people reach for a cold glass of water from the refrigerator, especially in the summer. It feels refreshing. It feels good for the body. And for a 35-year-old with healthy, flexible blood vessels, that is perfectly fine. But here's what happens inside the body of someone over 60 when cold water hits the stomach. Cold water, particularly water below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, triggers a mild vascular constriction response. Your blood vessels actually narrow briefly while the body works to warm the incoming fluid. For younger people with still elastic vessels, this is barely noticeable. But for older adults whose vessels are already stiffer, this constriction can reduce peripheral blood flow for up to 20 minutes after each glass. Now multiply that by 6, 7, 8 glasses of water a day, every single day, for years, and you will start to see the problem. So what is the simple fix? Switch to warm or room temperature water, ideally between 98 and 105 degrees Fahrenheit, which is close to your body's own internal temperature. Water at this temperature passes through the stomach faster, does not trigger that constriction response, and your circulatory system responds much more favorably. But here is where it gets really interesting. Add a small amount of magnesium glycinate powder, about 100 milligrams dissolved in 12 ounces of warm water each morning, and you create what researchers call a vascular primer. Magnesium is one of the most critical minerals for endothelial cell function. It is literally required for your cells to produce nitric oxide. And research shows that nearly 68% of adults over 60 are chronically deficient in magnesium, meaning their bodies are trying to circulate blood through vessels that are missing the one mineral needed to help them relax. Warm magnesium water first thing in the morning, before coffee, before food. This is the simplest upgrade you can make. And for many people, the change in energy and warmth in the extremities is noticeable within the very first week. But strategy number 4 takes things into territory that most people completely overlook, and it involves something you are already drinking every single morning anyway. Strategy number 4, green tea and the golden morning window. Strategy number 4, and I want you to think carefully about this because it changes the relationship between hydration and circulation in a way that nobody explains to you. Here is the question. When you drink, your fluids matters just as much as what you drink, and the timing gap that most older adults miss is the 30-minute window right after waking up. While you sleep, your body loses between 16 and 24 ounces of fluid just through breathing and light perspiration. By the time you wake up, your blood is measurably thicker than it was when you fell asleep. This is actually one of the primary reasons that cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes peak between 6 and 10 in the morning. The blood is thicker, the vessels are stiffer after hours of slower circulation. The system is under stress. Most people respond to waking up by immediately drinking coffee, which is a mild diuretic, or they skip fluids entirely until breakfast. Both of those responses are working against your circulation during the most vulnerable window of your entire day. Now, this is where green tea enters the picture. And I am not talking about green tea simply because it is popular. I am talking about it because of a specific compound it contains called EGCG. Research from King's College London found that people who followed a morning rehydration protocol followed by a cup of green tea showed a 21% improvement in flow-mediated dilation, which is the gold standard medical test for measuring how well blood vessels respond and open up compared to those who drank plain water or coffee in the morning. 21% improvement just from timing and a cup of tea. Here is the specific protocol. Right when you wake up, before anything else, drink 12 ounces of warm water. Just warm water. This rehydrates the blood and reduces thickness right away. Then, 15 to 20 minutes later, drink 1 cup of moderately brewed green tea. Not too strong because too many tannins will interfere with mineral absorption, with a small squeeze of fresh lemon. The lemon does 2 things. It adds vitamin C, a powerful antioxidant that protects nitric oxide from being destroyed before it even reaches the vessel walls. And it lightly acidifies the tea, helping the body absorb EGCG more efficiently through the gut. This is not complicated. This is warm water, then green tea with lemon. And the result of that simple sequence could be what completely changes how your mornings feel from here on out. Stay right here because strategy number 3 is where things start getting genuinely powerful, and it involves a combination that your body is almost certainly missing. If you are still watching and finding this helpful, go ahead and type the number 4 in the comments. That lets me know you are here and getting value from what I am sharing. Strategy number 3, watermelon juice and L-citrulline. Strategy number 3, and this one genuinely surprised me when I first dug deep into the research because it involves one of the most effective natural vasodilators ever studied in humans hiding inside one of the most common summer fruits on the planet. I am talking about watermelon. More specifically, I am talking about an amino acid called L-citrulline, which is found in the highest concentration in the white rind of watermelon, the part that almost everyone throws away. Here is why this matters so specifically for people over 60. L-citrulline is a precursor to L-arginine, which is the direct raw material your body uses to synthesize nitric oxide. Now, there is a well-known supplement called L-arginine that many people take to support circulation, but here is the problem, and this is important. Oral L-arginine supplements have poor absorption in the gut, especially in older adults. A large portion of it is broken down by enzymes in the intestines before it ever makes it into the bloodstream. L-citrulline bypasses this problem completely. It is absorbed efficiently, converted to L-arginine in the kidneys, bypassing the gut entirely, and then used to produce nitric oxide right where it is actually needed, inside your blood vessels. A landmark study published in the American Journal of Hypertension found that people who consumed L-citrulline regularly showed significant reductions in arterial stiffness and improved blood pressure readings, particularly in postmenopausal women and men over 60. Here is how to apply this practically. Take 1 to 2 cups of fresh watermelon, including as much of that white rind as you can tolerate, and blend it into a juice with 8 ons of cold water. No sweetener needed. Add a pinch of sea salt for electrolyte balance and a small squeeze of lime juice, which adds flavonoids that support the citrulline pathway. Drink this mid-morning, about 90 minutes after your green tea, or about 2 hours before any light physical activity. The nitric oxide boost peaks approximately 60 to 90 minutes after consumption. So when you time it before a walk or light exercise, your vessels are already open and responsive when the activity begins. That combination is synergistic in a way that neither achieves on its own. Many people report warmth spreading through their hands and feet within an hour of drinking this. Some notice that the afternoon fatigue that usually hits them shows up later or not at all. That is not a coincidence. That is circulation working the way it should. Keep watching because strategy number 2 changes everything again, and it works through a completely different mechanism than anything we have discussed so far. If you have found this helpful, consider sharing it with a friend or family member who struggles with circulation or blood pressure. Most people have no idea that something as simple as watermelon can support their blood vessels this way. Strategy number 2, tart cherry juice and fresh ginger. Strategy number 2, and this is the one that made researchers stop and reconsider the entire conventional model of circulation and aging. Here is something most people do not know. One of the biggest enemies of healthy blood flow in older adults is not cholesterol. It is not high blood pressure. It is microvascular inflammation. The tiny capillaries, the smallest blood vessels in your body, thinner than a single strand of hair, are responsible for delivering oxygen to your tissues, your brain, your muscles, your skin. When inflammation builds up in the walls of those vessels, they lose the ability to dilate and respond. They become rigid. They narrow. Blood flow to the extremities slows down, the brain gets less oxygen, healing slows, energy crashes. And here is the cruel irony. The inflammation causing all of this is largely invisible. You do not feel it directly, you only feel the consequences. Brain fog, fatigue, cold hands and feet, heavy legs, poor sleep, slow recovery. Symptoms that most doctors attribute to simply getting older. Research from the University of Michigan identified a remarkable compound that specifically targets inflammation inside microvascular walls more precisely than almost any natural substance studied. That compound is anthocyanin, and the single richest dietary source of anthocyanin by a significant margin is tart cherries. Not regular sweet cherries, but tart cherries, specifically the Montmorency variety. A study published in the Journal of Functional Foods followed adults between the ages of 65 and 80 who drank 8 ounces of tart cherry juice daily for 12 weeks. The results showed a 34% reduction in systemic inflammatory markers, a 27% improvement in capillary blood flow velocity, and most significantly, a measurable reduction in arterial stiffness that researchers described as equivalent to reversing approximately 6 years of vascular aging. Now combine tart cherry juice with freshly grated ginger, and something even more interesting happens. Ginger contains a compound called 6-gingerol, which functions as a natural calcium channel modulator in the smooth muscle cells surrounding blood vessels. In plain language, it helps the walls of your blood vessels physically relax. Multiple peer-reviewed studies have confirmed that ginger's vasodilatory effect is most pronounced in small vessels and capillaries, exactly the vessels most affected by aging. To prepare this drink, mix 6 to 8 ounces of pure tart cherry juice, no sugar added, not from concentrate, with 12 ounces of warm water, 1 teaspoon of freshly grated ginger or half a teaspoon of high-quality ginger powder, and a small pinch of black pepper, which dramatically enhances ginger absorption through the digestive tract. The ideal time to drink this is in the early evening, roughly 2 hours before going to bed. Here is why the timing matters specifically for this drink. Your cardiovascular system does a significant portion of its cellular maintenance overnight, roughly between midnight and 4 in the morning. Giving it a powerful dose of anti-inflammatories before sleep primes those repair pathways. Many people who begin this evening ritual report waking up with noticeably warmer hands and feet by the second week. They also typically report improved sleep quality, which is not a coincidence, because quality sleep is one of the most powerful long-term protectors of cardiovascular health that we know of. Are you ready for number one? Because this is the strategy that ties everything together. This is the one that works through a mechanism so foundational, so deeply connected to how the human circulatory system actually functions, that some longevity researchers have called it the most underappreciated cardiovascular discovery of the past 2 decades. Strategy number one, the nitric oxide synergy drink. Strategy number one, the single most powerful hydration-based circulation strategy for adults over 60. And I need you to stay with me here for just a moment of science, because once you understand this, everything else clicks into place. Inside your blood vessels right now, there is a constant silent battle happening. On one side, your endothelial cells are producing nitric oxide, the molecule that keeps vessels relaxed, open, and healthy. On the other side, something called reactive oxygen species, also known as oxidative stress, is destroying that nitric oxide before it can do its job. Think of it like this. Imagine you are trying to fill a bathtub, but the drain is wide open. You can pour water in all day, or in this case, produce nitric oxide all day. But if it is being destroyed faster than it is being made, the tub never fills. Circulation never improves. This is the situation inside the blood vessels of most people over 60. The breakthrough that changed the conversation in cardiovascular research was the discovery that molecular hydrogen, that is H2, the simplest molecule in the universe, is one of the most selective and powerful antioxidants ever identified. Unlike conventional antioxidants like vitamin C or vitamin E, which neutralize all oxidative molecules indiscriminately, molecular hydrogen specifically targets the most destructive reactive oxygen species while leaving beneficial oxidative molecules alone. And the key insight for circulation is this. Peroxynitrite, the molecule most responsible for breaking down nitric oxide inside blood vessels, is selectively neutralized by molecular hydrogen. A controlled trial published in the journal Aging found that adults between 65 and 80 who drank hydrogen-rich water daily for 8 weeks experienced a 31% increase in flow-mediated dilation and a finally significant reduction in markers of vascular inflammation, not because the body produced more nitric oxide, but because less was being destroyed. That is the important distinction. Now, hydrogen water generators are available and becoming more affordable. But if you want to achieve a similar effect with ingredients you can pick up at any grocery store today, here is the protocol that combines everything we have discussed into one powerful morning drink. I call it the nitric oxide synergy drink, and here is why it works unlike anything else. You need 1 glass of warm or room temperature water, 12 to 16 ounces. Add to that 1/4 teaspoon of quality magnesium glycinate powder. Next, add 1 tablespoon of pure pomegranate juice, not from concentrate. Pomegranate contains punicalagins, which have been shown in multiple studies to both increase nitric oxide production and inhibit the enzyme that breaks it down. It attacks the problem from both sides at the same time. Then add 1/2 teaspoon of organic beet powder. Beets are the richest known dietary source of inorganic nitrates, which are converted to nitric oxide through the bacterial pathway in saliva and the gut, essentially a direct deposit of nitric oxide straight into your bloodstream. And finally, a small pinch, about 1/8 of a teaspoon, of vitamin C powder, which protects nitric oxide from oxidation before it reaches the vessel walls. Now, here is the step that most people miss, and it makes a meaningful difference. Take a small sip, hold it in your mouth for 3 to 5 seconds before swallowing. Here is the reason. The first step in converting dietary nitrates into nitric oxide does not happen in the stomach, and it does not happen in the blood. It happens in your mouth through nitrate-reducing bacteria on the tongue and in the saliva. Holding the drink in your mouth for a few seconds before swallowing activates this conversion pathway, increasing the amount of nitric oxide your body produces from that same glass. Studies comparing people who drank beet juice normally versus those who held it briefly in their mouth before swallowing showed nearly a 40% difference in blood nitric oxide levels afterward. Same drink, completely different result. Drink this first thing in the morning after your initial 12 ons of plain warm water. Then take a gentle 10 to 15 minute walk within 30 to 45 minutes of drinking it. Even slow walking increases shear stress on vessel walls, which is the mechanical signal that tells endothelial cells to produce more nitric oxide. You are combining a chemical signal from the drink with a mechanical signal from movement, and the result is synergistic in a way that neither achieves alone. Research from the University of Exeter, one of the world's leading laboratories for dietary nitrate and exercise science, found that this exact combination, dietary nitrate plus low-intensity exercise, produced circulatory improvements in older adults equivalent to those seen with pharmaceutical vasodilators in short-term clinical testing and without a single side effect. People who follow this protocol consistently for 30 days report dramatic changes, not subtle ones, warmth returning to cold feet and hands. The heavy, tired sensation in the legs after standing for a while gradually dissolving, afternoon mental clarity that had been missing for years starting to return. Some report that morning dizziness when standing up, which is genuinely dangerous and very common in seniors, improves or disappears entirely. Because what was causing many of those symptoms was not a medication deficiency, it was a nitric oxide deficiency, a circulation problem, and strategic hydration can address it at the source, putting all 5 strategies together. Let me bring all 5 strategies together for you one more time, because when used in combination, even just rotating them throughout the week, they address circulation from 5 completely different biological angles. Number 5 is warm magnesium water to prime endothelial cell function and replenish the mineral that most older adults do not know they are missing. Number 4 is green tea with precise morning timing to reduce the vasoconstrictive molecule endothelin, one during the most dangerous cardiovascular window of the day. Number 3 is watermelon and L-citrulline to bypass the gut absorption problem and deliver a clean nitric oxide precursor directly through the kidney pathway. Number 2 is tart cherry and ginger in the evening to fight microvascular inflammation overnight and protect the capillaries responsible for delivering oxygen throughout the entire body. And number 1 is the nitric oxide synergy drink, attacking the nitric oxide problem from 3 angles: production, protection, and activation, paired with movement to create a compounding effect that your body will respond to within weeks. None of these require a prescription, none of them require expensive equipment, and every single one is grounded in peer-reviewed cardiovascular research, not wellness trends. But I want to be honest with you, these strategies work, but they work best when your doctor knows what you are doing, especially if you are on blood pressure medications or blood thinners, because improving circulation naturally can sometimes require adjustments to existing prescriptions. Please have an open conversation with your healthcare provider as you make these changes. After the age of 60, your body does not need less support for circulation. It needs smarter support. Plain water hydrates, but strategic hydration activates. And now that you know the difference, start applying it at your own pace. No rush, no pressure, one step at a time. If this video has been helpful to you, please share it with family members or friends so they can also learn how to avoid the circulation problems we talked about today. And if you found this information valuable, hit like so this video gets recommended to more people, especially older adults who really need it. Subscribe so we can meet again in the next video because there is so much more I want to share with you. See you then.